Alrighty, Chasing Dirt Show, Friday, again, 11 o'clock East Coast time every Friday, going live every Monday, 4 o'clock East Coast time, go live, Chasing Dirt Show. I think we are going to have a special guest today, but Jerry's out today taking care of some personal issues, so God willing, Jerry will be with us next Monday as well. But wanted to take the time today to talk about what we are doing here at Route, in particular what we're doing here with Route and what we're calling Route Marketplace. So I'm going to pull my screen up and give you guys a little bit of advanced insight of kind of what we're building. I think we are looking to go live with this platform next month. Right now, we're doing um, white glove kind of testing with several large contractors across the United States. So really looking forward to getting this thing out the door. But let me pop open my screen and share it, and move this over here, and I'll show you guys what we're working on. So here we go. All right, here we go. So within Route Marketplace, what we are doing, so the problem that we see out in the market right now is that if someone is in, let's just say, New York City, and they're doing a great job, or I'll use DC because that's a real life example. You're in DC, you're doing a really great job with a contract, a customer. Um, let's just say you have 5 locations and you're servicing those 5 locations, and they come to you and say, hey, we love what you're doing here locally. We also have 25 other locations across the United States, or 10 locations, or 100 locations, or 500 locations. Could you service those locations? Well, the reality is that contractor has 3 decisions, or 3 answers. No, we can't service outside of DC. B, we've got to go into those other markets. If you're going to give that business an open up shop, which is probably not a good solution cost wise. Or C, and C, there's our special guest in right up there. What's up, Ricardo?
What's going on?
And just kind of going through, but so I was explaining the situation of the problem we're trying to solve. But that contractor who's doing a great job in DC gets an opportunity to do 25 other locations with their client across the country, or 100, or 500, or 10, whatever it may be. They can either say no, they either move into that market and open up shop, again costly, or C, they attempt to subcontract. Well, if it's onesie twosies here and there, no, it's not too hard to subcontract. But if all of a sudden you get to 25, 50, 75 locations, I use the analogy, and Ricardo busts my chops all the time, but it's kind of like dating. If you're going to go out there and find one good one, you've got to go through 5 to 6 contractors to vet out and see who's the best fit for you in those markets. So imagine a 25 facility opportunity across the United States, across 25 zip codes. You're going to have to go out there and identify at least a minimum 100 to 125 to 150 contractors. So the manual process right now, we all know that, is you jump on Google, you have someone go out, you say cleaning contractors in Dallas, Texas. All of a sudden it pops up. You've got to look at the website. You got to figure out who's who, what's going on. And on average, it takes you probably to get the company name, the address, what they provide service-wise, the decision maker for even having a subcontracting conversation. You're looking at probably at least 30 to 45 minutes per contractor just to get that information to a spreadsheet that you're ready to have the conversation.
Yeah.
So that's the problem we're trying to solve. Is like, first of all, how do we speed that process up? What if you can think, again, what if you could go into a platform, and we'll talk about it, and you say, hey, here's the 25 zips, here's the 100 zip, here's the 75 zips. Boom. Within 30 seconds, you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 contractors within a 10-mile radius of that location. So that's the first thing we're looking to accomplish, is that speed of identifying the contractors, decision makers. The next thing we'll be adding on top of that is every one of these contractors, and you don't see this on Google, has a profile. And I say a profile meaning, what is their company size? They're 1 to 50 employees. They're 50 to 100. They're more than 1,000. What year were they founded? What is their annual revenue range? 500 to 3.5. Do they have the right insurance on hand? What associations, what services do they provide? What account types, what industries are they in? All of these data fields are like a search parameter. So not only is the zip code a search parameter, but those qualifications of that business, are they a right fit for those opportunities? So As you guys know, cleaning is not just cleaning. A bank branch is not the same as a K through 12 higher ed or K through 12 private school. It's not the same as a food processing plant. It's not the same as a restaurant. So what we are looking to do is get the profile data, get those companies within the zip. And if you look at the map here, we're going to start building out. Again, this is a map of the United States. We're going to start building out and trying to identify as many contract cleaners as we can. And this is one of the asks that we have toward the end. And again, if you're listening to this as a contractor, regardless if you're large or small, but you see opportunities to take your relationship and go nationwide, stick around to the end, because we're going to really talk about what you can do as far as the next step, because we are starting to see opportunities come in. But as you see here, these are all contractors that we have in our database. So the first step is getting those contractors in the database. The second step is to get them to come in and actually claim their profile.
So,
anything to add on any of that so far?
Yeah, let me jump on. One thing I wanted to touch on that I just talked about this yesterday is, so again, Jack nailed it, right? Again, all the problems we're trying to solve, the solutions we're trying to create here. But think about this. There's one thing, because I just did this last week for my BSC, my family company. They asked me, Rick, we need some help in, I think it was Huntsville, Alabama, and in another city. So I was like, all right, let me just, use the tool that we have. Let me go back to the old school way of the Google just to test different things out. And one thing that I'm realizing that we have to tell people, Jack, is what 20% of the people that I sent messages to called me back, right? You said you've dealt with this over and over again. So it's one thing to be found on Google and for somebody to reach out to you. It's another thing to opt in, though, right? Like, I feel like this is going to be a little bit of a different experience, because everybody that is learning what we're building and what we're building it for is opting in to claim their profile, to be found. So then my dream and my vision, Jack, which I know it's yours too, is if you're Jack's Cleaning Company in Columbus, Ohio, and I am from Chicago looking for you, if I message you or I post an opportunity or we connect here, it's for a real contract, a real opportunity, and then you're going to jump on it, right? Where I think that doesn't happen in the real world, as far as somebody reaches out on their contact us page, somebody calls the landline, somebody messages them on social media. There's still that, like, is this a real company? What are they reaching out to me for? Are they just trying to get pricing? Like, what I'm saying? Like, there's that barrier still where I want companies to really understand, when they sign up and create a profile, be ready, because everybody connecting with you here is going to be vetted and will have real opportunities.
Yeah. And I would say this too. I've talked to 1,000 contractors in the last 6 months, and some say, send me as many opportunities as you can. Love those folks, because they're looking at business in the right lens. Those folks who have come back to me and said, we don't subcontract, we're not interested in it. What I say in response to that is, you may not be interested in subcontracting, but again, there's two sides. There's those with work, the primes. There's those looking for work, the subs. And some days the sub is the prime. Some days the prime is the sub. But
Yep.
I pitch it this way, is if you woke up every day and you were able to look on a map like this and you saw opportunities starting to pop up, would it not hurt just to look at it and say, maybe that opportunity is something to look at least look at it and make the decision that it's yay or nay, that I want to learn more, versus saying I'm not open to it, looking at an opportunity at all, because some of these deals are not bad deals. And I think, let me throw one last thing in there. As we get going, and again, one of the problems we're looking to solve too, and the large contractors are aware of this, is that, let's just say we get a bank branch across the United States. There's 500 bank branches, and that client, that company, that bank says, listen, we're going to send this out to 25 or 10 or 5 contractors, but we need a response in 30 days. What these large contractors do a lot of the time is they have their own network of subcontractors, and they can get some pricing, but likelihood of having all 500 locations covered, likelihood of knowing what the prices and the rates are in those markets, the likelihood of knowing the experience level, we're going to be able to go in there and say, listen, it's in many cases, it takes you 2 weeks just to get the data you need to start having the conversation. What if we could give you all the contacts, all the companies, all the people? You could post those contracts into the system. Again, when you post it, it's not showing the exact location. It's going to say it's in this zip code. It's a bank branch. We won't say which bank branch it is. Here's the square footage. Here's the production rate. Here's the frequency. Here's the scope of work. But we feel that with this process we're putting together is that within less than 3 days, you're starting getting numbers to flow in. So when those numbers start to flow in and you start to give your pricing back to your client, you're going to have at least 3, maybe 4 more weeks of time just to kind of get a strategy together versus going out and saying, okay, 500 bank branches, we know 200 should be this price. We'll assume the other 300 at this price, and we'll take a swing at it that way. So we're trying to get ahead of that, maybe guessing at it and getting ahead of it, that we're knowing that, because one of the things that shocked me was Maine, of all places. Maine is a very expensive state to do business in.
Yeah.
And some people, they quote it as if it's in Ohio, but Maine is 20% higher than Ohio.
Yeah. Again, just being aware of that. And that was something actually I talked about yesterday in one of the sessions I was in, Jack, is like, you just, again, touched on the fact that pricing as a prime, pricing these for the subs, you need to talk to the subcontractors. You need to know what the local rate, local labor, like that margin in that area. If you don't have it and you just base your pricing on you as a business and where you operate as a prime, again, then the subs get an unfair rate at that time, right? One of the things that we talked about as a pain point for a sub is unfair payment terms, right? And low margin. So they're being just stuck with, like I think the old days of a sub receiving an email with a spreadsheet of 6 locations and a price that they're going to pay out, that we got to get away from that, right? It's got to be like, here's it, fill it out, right? Or like, tell us what is your price point in that area. So, but I actually wanted to go back to what you said earlier is, I have a friend that just does not subcontract. He does not like to be a sub or sub out, but it happened, is what you just said, is somebody approached him with a large national account and he was just like, oh, Rick, I don't really do much subbing. And he's like, but you know what? Let me see where the location is. Guess where it was? Literally next door to one of his accounts. So he's like, okay, well, I mean, I have a team right there. And that client actually has a lot more places in my area. And if I get that one, maybe I have a shot at the other ones. I'll do it. I'll take it. Yeah. Was because look where it was, right? So I think geographically, that is important. Think about if it's in an area that you're in already. I mean, think twice, right?
Think twice. I think look at it. I think the bare minimum is look at it and see if it's a good deal. We're going to help break that down and see if it's a good deal. I think the other thing too, and I use the example in Texas, is a guy said he didn't subcontract, and he did subcontract, but it was for high rise window washing. And I go, why do you subcontract? He goes, well, the guy, I trust him. He's just like me. And it struck in my head is that, I talk to everybody I talk to, I go, there's someone just like you that's like-minded in every market in the United States. And I think our job through Marketplace is really to connect those dots that says, we're going to find that company that's, if not exactly like you, maybe not size-wise, not employee count-wise, not revenue-wise, but the mindset of that servant mentality of taking care of the customer just like you would. And I think if we can connect those dots, and as these national deals start to kind of even grow, and these national opportunities that, I just got off the phone this morning with a guy that landed a pretty large opportunity, and their whole selling point was, why do you have 2,000 contractors when you could have one, maybe have 50, maybe have 25, but not have 2,000? So as this consolidation goes on and these relationships get strong, I think it's going to be a valuable tool. And I would encourage everyone, whether you're a small company or a large company, is look at those relationships and say, where could I grab 5 other locations across the country? Because they love me here in my respective market. And again, some days a prime is going to be a sub, some days a sub is going to be a prime. So I think that's the takeaway that we're getting.
And I'll tell you one other thing, because again, I'm an advocate for, obviously we're building for this model, right? Is another thing I tell people to how to look at subcontracting. And this was one thing that really, I think, allowed us to embrace subcontracting, is we early on knew, which I think many still have difficulty understanding, is a subcontract. If you are a prime, Jack, and you are subbing this account to me, I know, and I learned early on, this is not going to be as profitable as if I won that account myself, right? I think we get in the habit of, wait a minute, no, like that's not how I price. No, I'm at like 28 an hour. There's no way I could do that for 23. No, I understand that. This is different. This was no sales, no marketing. This was free, right? Free lead opportunity at your desk, at your plate. So then what we started to figure out is, man, if we take these on, we're not going to make as much money. This is Rosalado, our cleaning company. And I was like, but you know what we could use it for is, in one scenario, we had never cleaned a medical clinic before, right? So we were like, man, I really want to get into healthcare. We've never cleaned one before. I really don't know how to bid it. Maybe we should take this 3-location opportunity that this prime is sending us so we could learn, right? Get in there and learn the account. We did that. We got in there. We learned how to clean a medical facility. So then what did that do? Flip around. We knew how to price it. We knew production rate. We knew what it was to that scope of work. We truly understood. So then we knew how to bid, and then we used it as a training ground. So I think that's a whole other topic later on, but how to just go into it knowing this is going to be a lesser margin opportunity, but the reward and the opportunity behind it could be exponential, just not from a monetary perspective, right? But from other pieces.
Yeah, so I think that's it. You're not paying a marketing, you're not paying for sales. And again, looking at the opportunities they pop up. So that's what we're looking to create. So the problem, we've identified that. The problem also, I'll say this as well. We are seeing a large number of residential cleaners who are getting into the commercial space. And the residential cleaners are okay with the 1 day, 2 day service. So those commercial cleaners that are out there, jump on board, because we are going to be looking for these larger, 3, 5, day a week accounts. In some cases, we've had 7 day a week accounts come across the platform. But if you're in the if you're in the residential space, don't shy away from this as well. If you're willing to clean a commercial bank branch or a small office, once, twice a week, we would encourage you to get over into the platform, because we need to fill that gap. We just had one pop up in Vermont. That was a pretty large opportunity for a turnover of some dorm rooms. So things like that, that's going to be a nice 2-week project. It's going to be, they just need labor to get in there and do the work. And it's very similar residential. Jump on it. But I think our ask at the end of this is, we are going to put a link in the show notes. I'll put it in the show notes. We'll put a link. But what we're looking for right now is companies to really come in and say, hey, we're interested in getting leads sent to us, and basically fill out a profile. And that profile is going to be information that you would share with anybody that knocked on your door to do business with you anyway. And if you could take those steps, our commitment is that you will see something come your way, either directly, or you will start to see, as we turn this thing on next month, you'll start to see opportunities light up around you. And at that point, again, you look at it and say, hey, this is something I want to pursue, or say, this is something I'm not wanting to pursue. So it's up to you, but we're excited about this. It's been a long time coming. But we need contractors out there that are willing to grow their business, open-minded about looking at opportunities and seeing where it makes sense and doesn't make sense. But as you see here, the map is lighting up right now. And these are all folks right now we have in the system from a standpoint of having their information. They haven't necessarily claimed their profiles yet. And that's what we need right now, is people to come in and claim their profile. If you don't see, yourself in these markets, and again, you can't see the actual map yet. You'll be able to see that next month. But even if you're in this market and you're down here, go ahead and claim a profile. Let's get you in there. And what I'm going to do as we get opportunities, I'm going to be taking those that have claimed their profiles first as the ones that I'm going to send the leads to. So if you do get an email from Jack at GetRoute, or you get one from GetRoute, an email, know that it's a legit opportunity. It's not BS. It's real. Anything else to add?
Oh man, I just like looking at it right now. It's coming to life. It is all coming.
I'll show you how quick it is. So this is a quick little. So I took 5 zip codes. I'll show you what this thing looks like. I took 5 zip codes. So if you were to go out right now, and maybe test us on this if you don't believe us, but if you were to go out and take 5 zip codes and say, I need at least 4 contractors in each of these markets to start the process of vetting, that's going to take you probably a couple of hours worth of work of getting that put into a spreadsheet, finding, because most of these websites, you can't find who the owner is or the business development manager is, or the emails, much less. But watch this here. I click on this, and I should see within 30 seconds, we're taking the top 20 companies closest to those zips.
And all you did was enter the zip codes. Jack,
all I did, enter the zip codes. We'll have behind this, what I have the ability to do as well. I can export this, so I can give this to you right now. So if you got a project that's hitting you on the board right now, hit me up. We will have a fee associated with this, because that would take you 2 hours. We just did it in 30 seconds. But what we're going to have behind this, as far as kind of a next version that's coming probably late this year, early part of next year, is when that profile gets fed out as well, is we're going to start to validate the data. So if someone says they clean healthcare, someone says they have insurance levels this high, they say they're this certification or that association, we're going to start to validate that. And then sometime probably by mid-year next year, we're going to allow contractors to start to review each other. And this is not going to be like give me a 5-star rating or 4-star. We're going to actually ask specific questions. Does that prime pay on time? Yeah. Do they compensate accordingly? On the reverse side, we're going to allow that prime to say to the sub, they're detail oriented. They follow up. They're very well with communication. They take care of our clients. So you'll start to see not only the company profile, but really how they act in the field and how they act with doing business together. So the clarity on this thing, the opportunity, and then at some point, not to let the cat out of the bag, there'll be some point we're getting requests already for large property management companies and other groups to say, hey, how can I find contractors through the platform? So that'll be something in 2026 that we'll be looking at as well. So a lot of good stuff here. So hopefully you guys will sign up, and there's no cost right now. We're just getting people into the platform, getting the profile, and we're starting to funnel opportunities to you. So help us out. Let's change the industry. I think that's the main thing, right?
Let's go. Let's reinvent subcontracting.
So that's Chasing Dirt. So we'll see you guys next Monday at 4 p.m. East Coast time. Jerry should be back. We'll have some conversations around some other things, but hopefully this has been informative. If you got any questions, drop me an email at jack@getroute, and we'll see you next week. That's it.